right. I'm about to hurt a whole bunch of people's feelings here. But I figured, since I'm already lighting a fire in the furnace here, I might as well start lighting some brush fires of freedom, eh? So stick with me. Well, here I am in the midst of making myself some coffee, but thought I'd sit there and just, chunner for a second while my brain gets into mode. Oh! Some things have been happening of late on the interwebs. Says to myself, well, I got to say something about this because apparently people think it's okay to just pat the ass of tyrants. And I don't know if you noticed this, but for the longest fucking time I've been saying it. And I think people need to start actually getting on board with this. It's kind of important. So here, let me get my coffee together. And y'all come with me outside. We're going to go out back behind the woodshed. All right. Now as we're let's set that up. Now as we're outside back behind the woodshed, and I'm not gonna disturb anybody. I'm joking. I'm gonna make your lives just absolutely insanity. Anyways, quick little direct action, back behind the woodshed sort of thing. Miss Judge Janine Perro, you should know better than this. Out and out. And I know that if this is AI or whatever that's being used to put words in your mouth and what have you, fine. But I'm going to point some out at you. If the United States Constitution is the highest law of the land, and the amendments thereto of the United States Constitution must also therefore be law, then stating that somebody may not carry a firearm for their personal protection with or without permit in any jurisdiction within the continental United States especially, but furthermore outside of the continental United States, for any reason whatsoever, is itself a crime. In fact, I believe that would be considered to be high crimes and felonies, because it's an action against the United States Constitution. So you're okay with committing a felony, which would preclude you from having a firearm, but you're supposedly a firearms owner, and you believe in the right for people to keep and bear arms, just not in certain places or at certain times or when it hurts certain people's feelings. See, this is why it's an actual crime in the United States to say that this is the only bit of really not protected speech in the United States. You may not say to somebody, you cannot practice your religion, record people in public, carry a firearm for your personal protection, be secure in your person, paper, properties, and effects, have the right to an attorney, have the right to a speedy and justified and justifiable trial, have the right to arbitration continuance. Don't know if you guys knew about that one. That's part of that. Have the right to not be subject to dubious, unlawful, egregious, or overwhelming or overzealous fines or fees. Or for that matter, be subject to cruel or unusual punishments. these rights, they're not exactly hard to figure out, and they're kind of self-exclamatory, but they're still enumerated. They're still made law. They were made law so that people couldn't turn around and be like, oh, but only, oh, but just when, oh, but not when this, no, 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 no. You don't have the right to say any of that fucking bullshit. Straight the fuck out here. Let's be clear. And the reason why I'm using vulgarity in what I'm saying is because you, as an individual, have gone above and beyond the level of courtesy in your action, thereby releasing me of any need to be in the slightest courteous with my tongue. So I'm going to be very blunt here. You absolute cunt. No, you do not have the right to tell people that they cannot go outside with their guns on. No, you cannot tell somebody that they cannot walk through the freaking capital of the United States with their firearm, being legally and lawfully and justifiably so armed. No, you cannot tell law enforcement that they have to enforce tyrannical law, because in doing so, you commit a crime. By telling them to enforce that, you commit a crime. By them enforcing it, then, you are responsible for their criminal action. So I ask you again, Judge, Miss Justice of the Peace, do you know your constitutional law? Do you recollect exactly what crimes you just committed by opening your fucking gum bumpers and sitting there and spewing rhetoric, instead of realizing, hey, wait a minute, this is a fundamental part of our nation, and we don't cross this line. Let me put it this way. I would be willing to actually have 12-year-olds and 14-year-olds allowed to have firearms, allowed to purchase firearms. Why? Because they're of a particular age where they have reason. Not the best, I'll grant you that, but you don't learn to reason better without going through the paces. You don't learn to not hit the pavement on your knees until you skin your knee. Just a reality. You learn to tuck and roll after you've skinned your knees a bunch of times and found out how long it hurts. It's a learning curve. There's a reason why it's called a curve, because it goes like this, not like this. That's the whole point here. However, when I'm talking about Miss Pirro, well, I'm going to point out that this Pirro does not know what she is talking about. Or, secondarily, but much worse, she knows what she's talking about, and she's doing it deliberately. Which should make every single American citizen stop and think. Don't just sit there and be like, oh, so great for you, so great for you, thank you so much, you're such a good person, yay. Excuse the fuck out of me. That's not where we were in 1776. Just previous to that, in 1760s, during the Boston Massacre, protesters were carrying clubs, batons, torches, pitchforks, and protest signs because they were not allowed to carry their firearms in public. by British decree. This is where the foundation of our nation was made. So to sit there and say, oh, well, you can't do that at the Capitol, that is a felony. What you just said, that is a felony. And it is because of what created our nation that is a possibility to create your felony. So when I say that my felony was trying to save somebody's life, but your felony was trying to take it away, I want you to think real long and hard about what you represent. Now that we've gotten through the fun stuff, I chuckle, but you know, sarcasm has its limits. And this is why all the YouTubers have been taking this stance of, yes, you have a lawful right to carry a firearm in a protest. Yes, you have a lawful right to carry your firearm in the nation's capital or your state capital. If it's fucking public property, it is your fucking right. Not a privilege, not something that the government can sit there and say, oh, well, you can't do this. Plain and simple. If it's public property, damn certain. If it's private property, for the most part, that's the case anyways. Unless somebody's like extremely left-wing to the point where they're retarded. In which case, that might be their security of properties. But again, if they've invited you onto their property, they can't really tell you can't have a firearm. So there. In other words, they have to trespass you off of their property for it to become illegal for you to have a firearm on that property. And you have to be given the time to egress. This has actually been laid down in case law. So, you know, all of that is a situation of these idiots do not fucking understand their own laws that they wrote, that they fucking sat there and bullshit about. And this is why the Constitution is simply acquiescence to rights and responsibilities. Just acquiescence. It is not what gives you a right. And I am so sick and tired of listening to these dumb motherfuckers sit there and spout, oh, well, the Second Amendment gives me the right to do. No, it fucking doesn't. It outlines your responsibility to stand to the defense of yourself, your community, and the nation. It does not give you a fucking right at all. It outlines your responsibility. Funny enough, the right to keep and bear arms is a denotation pointing out your ability, which is a responsibility. See how that works? It's interesting how people don't really pay attention to what the fuck is coming out of their mouths. You know, this is why I sit there and I just, whatever. It's just, yeah. Y'all are just, yeah. Out of the side of your necks. Plain and simple. Because if it was real, if it had substance, you'd be standing right where I am right now. The Constitution does not give you a fucking single right. Those rights already existed. All of them. Every last one of them. The Constitution doesn't give you a right. It acquiesces to the fact that you have them. The Constitution doesn't force your responsibility. It outlines the fact that you have them. If you do not get up off your ass and go and see to your responsibilities, then you get what we have now. And what is the thing about, for me anyways, about how voting is one of the greatest powers and it's one of the most misused? Why is that my stance on this? Because people go out and they vote, but they do not recognize that they have a third option. It's not just yay or nay. It is yay, nay, and fuck you. Why don't you people get that? This is your third option. Get it through your fucking skulls. You have a third vote. Your great-great-grandparents used it. Y'all ain't. Y'all are sitting there like, oh, well, it only says this and this on the ballot. Yeah, no shit, Sherlock. Your government's not going to tell you you have a third option. They're not going to tell you, hey, you can actually say this is all bullshit. I refuse to even fucking write down my name on this because I'm not signing your bullshit-ass contract of consent. Because I don't consent to your dumbassery. And I damn sure don't consent to your dumbassery ruling my life. You have that option. Hell, that's something I've been using for years. Honest to God truth. After going and voting and seeing how the vote fucking was switched and changed and this, that, and the others manipulated and all that crap, I said, fuck it. No, y'all are making me sick to my stomach. I can't fucking sit here and watch you be stupid and fucking rule my life without my ability to have any kind of fucking say in how that works. No. Well, this isn't a fucking, oh, well, because I said no, I automatically just have to fucking do what you say anyways. It doesn't work like that. No, I don't consent. Because I am sick and tired of you playing fucking games, dancing around trying to get through the raindrops without getting smacked in the head with a dewdrop. Because the reality of it is, you can't. You can't. And this is why the vote doesn't fucking matter. Beyond the fact that it's counted by machines and machines could be manipulated and all this other horseshit, nobody that I have spoken to uses the vote of dissonance. And it is an actual piece of historical case law. Historical foundational law. The vote of dissonance. Not the dissonant vote. The vote of dissonance. There's a difference here. One is, nay, I do not approve. The other one is, fuck you, I'm not part of this. You might want to think about that. And a lot of people just fucking go and do whatever. You remember how last election I said I'm not voting because I don't believe in this horseshit? I'm not voting because I know it's fucking going to be rigged. Something's going to happen, this, that, or the others. Something's going to go the wrong way. It always ends up counterbalancing, going the opposite direction because it's literally a ball on a needle. Judge Jeanine Pirro, Miss Super Republican, goes and does gun control. Donald Trump, who was previously had some issues with guns, but also had some issues with being extremely patriotic. Fuck it, we're just going to go full gun control. That's their opinions. Do you not see what I'm pointing out at you? This is why the individual in the United States is the most powerful. Not the president, not the Congress, not the state legislature, not the local freaking this, that, or the others. The individual. Why? Because the first rights enumerated are individual rights. The right to pursuit of happiness. The right to life. The right to liberty. The right to freedom of expression, of religion, and of freedom of the press. Sorry, the independent press. I need to include the important terminology in there because it's there and it should be there. Right to keep and bear arms. I mean, it's enumerated, but it's really not there so much as it's just, that's kind of like a placeholder telling you you have this right, and it's because you have this right that you have the ability to hold to this responsibility. This is why when people say the Second Amendment is a right, I go, no, it's not. This is why when people say, oh, well, the Second Amendment gives you the right. No, it does not. It acquiesces that you have a right to keep and bear arms. It denotes the responsibility that you have to defend your community and your nation. In doing so, you defend yourself, but I digress. That's like peanuts by comparison. The Fourth Amendment is your right to defend yourself, because your responsibility to defend yourself is implied. This is where all of these pieces of law that they convolute, this is where it actually takes its power from, because people do not understand the nuance. It's important that you understand the nuance, because if you don't understand the nuance, you can't understand the whole. Because you're missing small pieces. And when you're missing small pieces of a napkin, you open it up to wipe your face and you've got 4 napkins. Instead of having all those little tiny pieces that hold that napkin together, so when you open it up to wipe your face, you've got a bigger napkin. Hello, come in Berlin. My point is, you have to understand it for yourself, inside, in here. You have to actually understand it, not, oh, well, this is what I think it is. No, actually understand it. Place yourself in the footsteps, in the shoes of the founding fathers when they're writing these pieces of whatnot on this paper, on this parchment, in order to denote to the rest of everybody around, this is how this works. Put yourself in their minds. Understand what they went through. And you have your answer as to what these words mean. Not just what they might allude to or could possibly have created in the future if they continued down that road or whatever. They knew what could come. They knew about the possibilities of advancements in technology. They knew about the exact nature of all men And when I say men, that means women too. Just be clear, women more than men in this one. But all men are wont to war. That is an actual term in the English language. To be wont to. Not W-A-N-T, W-O-N-T, without the apostrophe. Want. It means that you are desiring of innately. It's not a want. A want is something that you conscientiously understand and desire. A want is something that you innately desire. All men are wont to war. All women are wont to war. And if you think that I'm lying about that, or if you think that's fucking horseshit, then I tell you what. Check and see if your local women aren't into drama. I just pointing out. Really. Even a retard can see this one. Women are wont to war. Women want drama. Men are wont to war. We love fighting. Think about it. Do you watch football? Do you watch UFC? Do you watch soccer? Do you watch baseball? Do you go out fishing? Do you go out hunting? Do you go out and protest in the streets with your liberal friends? Do you argue over things on the internet? All men are wont to war. Whether or not you think you are, I'm telling you, you're wont to war. So when it comes down to this particular, of course you have to be able to stand to your own defense. And there you go. Their whole argument falls fucking flat on its face when you understand why and what and how when it comes down to the foundation of our nation. When you understand it completely, intrinsically, you're able to stand up for it, not just want to stand up for it. Because I'll put it this way to you. Showing off guns here on the YouTubes, so long as I'm not shooting at somebody, they're okay with that. But in the United States, if you have to unfortunately shoot at somebody because they are, doing the shooty at you or someone else that you care about or are trying to defend, well, that's actually a right. In fact, it's a responsibility in this nation. That is your Second Amendment responsibility. So again, when people sit there and they say, oh, well, the Second Amendment gives me the right, I fucking just want to reach through the screen and slap the dog shit out of you. No, it does not give you a right. It denotes a responsibility. You already have that right. Stop saying that a piece of paper gives you a right. It doesn't. It denotes your responsibility. It used to be a lot longer. People don't realize that. It was actually the denotation of responsibility that was an addendum to the standard of the militia, which is laid out in the article, in the articles in the Constitution. Go back and read your articles of the Constitution in order to understand why you needed to have the Second Amendment so that you could adhere to the Articles of Constitution. Because Congress shall be endowed with the power to call forth the militia and the many militias, and for the declaring war powers and the creations and uses of standing armies, i.e. the military. There's a reason why I have such a stance that I do. Everybody just goes, oh no, you're fucking crazy, you don't know what you're talking about. I, on the other hand, know exactly what the fuck I'm talking about, and I look at you as if you are so batshit stupid. Let's get it straight here. Not crazy, stupid. That you're not willing to do the damn footwork. You are so stupid, you'd rather argue than figure it out for yourself. And in turn, you call me crazy or stupid, or the worst fucking use of the word, dumb. Because you are so stupid, you don't know that dumb means unable to speak. It's because of dumbasses like you that don't know how the ability to speak works. See what I did there? That makes it so that the rest of us feel stupid, even though we're not. Your switching of definitions makes the rest of us look stupid, except to anybody who has a lick of sense about them. There is a place for the word dumb. It is not in a conversation about intelligence. I have met some truly dumb people who are the smartest motherfuckers I've ever seen. I've also met some of the loudest sons of bitches on the planet who are so stupid that every time that they open their mouths, if they're not inserting their foot into it, physically speaking, they're doing so metaphorically. Now, pardon my glisten. It's cold outside, so I'm getting some condensation. Anyways, I digress from the origination of this particular video, but you get my drift. This is why politicians and political talking heads and retards the galore gamut piss me off. And I use that word retards in the actual sense of that word, meaning they are slow on the uptake again. Retard. Break down the word, check its etymology. Re, meaning again. Tard, meaning slow. To be slow. To have slow recollection. To understand slowly. To be slow to presence. Tard. So, instead of utilizing nice speech that's going to make your feelings feel better, I'm just going to tell you how the fuck it is. I'm sorry about your butt hurt. I'm sorry that you needed to go and feel better. Make sure you go get that better help. Therapy. Because the reality of it is it's not like you can't figure it out on your own. Yeah, you're going to be depressed for a couple of minutes, maybe a couple of days. You'll get over it. You really will. It's a matter of that point in time, that influence. And if you stew in that influence, you're not going to get over it. But if you move forwards, because it's just an influence, it's just one point in time, and you keep that mentality, you're not going to be depressed for very long. You have to understand that you are the force that pushes you beyond that. It's for the same reason that I keep on seeing the stagnation of people sitting there saying, well, I voted, and because I voted, you don't get to say anything. I'm like, excuse the fuck out of me, but I didn't vote because I'm not a dumbass. Because I understand what the vote means. I know what that word is. So I'm not dumb. Food for thought. Alright, so wind down mode. End of the video. In this next however many days it is until I make another video or something, I don't know, until something else happens, I want you to go out in your everyday life, and I want you to remember that what you see going on around you is a dog and pony show. It is to try and lure you away from the reality of what it is that those men went through and what they did. This is what's going to make it so that you last longer than a minute in any particular engagement. So pay attention. The Constitution are guidelines. They point out the rules. They enumerate how those rules are supposed to work. They do not give you those rights. They do not secure your responsibilities. They are simply guidelines to tell you what those rights and responsibilities are. Use your brain. The thing that God gave you, that squishy organ inside of your gourd. It might save your life. But beyond that, it'll definitely save you a whole lot of headache. Arrive dirt cheap. This has been Ye Old Guardsman, and motherfuckers, I'm out.